Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. And I'll repeat that. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Everybody's gifts, talents, and abilities all come from God. And no matter how strong and mighty and powerful and talented we think we all have to answer to God. For God is power. He is the power source. He is the creator of life. He gives life and he can take it away. He also gives the gifts. He makes, he molds us. We are his creation. So if somebody has the super ability to run very fast, to play ball very good, to sing very well, those are all gifts, and the power came from God. Just as the demons and the angels, all their power and abilities all came from God. Once God gives somebody a gift, he does not take it back, including Satan and the angels. So when the angels, before they was cast out, was gifted these gifts that God had gave them these powers, they still had those powers and abilities even though they was cast out. And so they let this pride and arrogance that they had with this mighty power that they was gifted from God to create such people as the Nephilim and giants by sleeping with mankind, mixing their superpowers with human abilities and with creatures, creating half man and half beast, creating pure evil. But they still had to answer to God. And that's why God flooded the whole world, because it was no longer of his creation. It was the evilness. So we have the right to choose. God gives us the right to choose how we use those abilities and how we use those powers. Do we use them for good or do we use them for evil? Every day we have the freedom. With God, God is freedom. And every day you wake up with a choice. Do you choose to serve the world or do you choose to serve God? And no matter what you choose, no matter how you use that power, you will have to answer to God. No matter who you think you are. If Satan and the angels all have to answer to God, what makes you think that you do not have to answer to God? Everybody is going to be held responsible for every action, every thought, every word, ever said, spoken, or done. And it doesn't matter what you believe, what you think, how big in denial in, or how much you make excuses or high scientific you try to prove this to discredit God. The fact is God does exist and he created everything and everyone. And there will be a time and come, no matter how dead you have been, whether you died 100, 1,000 years ago, or if you die 100 years from now. When Jesus comes and he comes back, this is what's going to happen. Every knee will bow down. Every breath will proclaim. Everything that has breath will say that Jesus is King and Lord of Lords and God is God. You cannot hide from it. You cannot run from it. You cannot die from it. You can't use your superpowers to hide from it, to change who is God and who is not. And no, just because you have a gift that's better than somebody does not make you better than somebody else. Just because you sing better than anybody else in the crowd doesn't make you better than anybody else in the choir. You are still a person. You are still created by God. And that person next to you who doesn't sing as good as you was still created by the hand of God. God still knows how many hairs of head is on that person's head, just like he knows how many hairs of head is on your head. You are not more important than that person just because you can sing better. We all have a purpose. We all have a meaning. And you wouldn't be able to sing better if people didn't sing worse than you. Because if everybody sung the same, then there would be nobody better than the other. So does it make you more better than anybody because you can do something more better than somebody else? The only reason why you have the ability, just like I said, to do so is because people don't do it as well as you. So everybody matters. You need those people to not be as good as you. That way, because that's how you're better. So don't get stuck on yourself. Don't get arrogant. Don't get prideful. God tells us many times in the scriptures to not be prideful, to not be arrogant, and to not boast. That if you're going to boast, let somebody else do the boasting for you. You can't go around sitting around saying, oh, I sing pretty good. Oh, I need to go on American Idol. I need to have my own record company. No. Let other people say that about you, not you about yourself. Because let me tell you something, you're not the only one in the world who has a record or deserves to have a record. And I'm just using that as an example so that you can understand that everything comes from God. And we are all equal in the eyes of God. We are all God's creation. We are all going to have to answer to God. And that's exactly what happened to Satan, the angels. Pride and arrogance came before their downfall. And it is, if you look throughout all of history, every great person who got prideful and arrogant and boasted had a great fall. Before the fall comes the pride. You will have to answer to God for what you have done with the gifts that He has given you. Did you use it for His kingdom? Did you use it to help other people? Because it says many times in this book that He blesses people abundantly, and everybody just likes to twist it on to be about money because this world is nothing but greed. And all they care about is money. But let me tell you something. This book and what it's written about has nothing to do with money. Does it speak about money? Not like everybody seems to think it does. Abundantly does not mean money. Abundance means much of a lot of things. Not just money. And it's because most people are too busy living in their flesh. They can't see outside their flesh, so they make everything about themselves and make everything all about money, and that God only blesses people with money. And so they have lost their way. They have lost the truth because they're leaning on their own understanding and their own truth and what they want things to be. Because they want to be blessed, and they want to be blessed with what? Money. You got to get out of yourselves. You got to get up out of our flesh. We will have to answer to God. He has the highest power of all, the highest ability of everything. Everyone will answer to God. Everyone's power, everyone's ability, no matter who you are, no matter how demonic you are. I don't care how many tarot cards you have read. I don't care how many times you have sit there and was a medium and you talk to these evil spirits and you're like, oh no, I'm a good witch. And it tells you right there, common sense. What does it say? A good witch. There's no such thing as a good witch. It's still a witch. A witch is a witch. And a witch is demonic. There's no practicing light magic and dark magic. It's all still magic. And in the book says it's magic is an abomination. It is evil. But let me tell you something. It all still comes from the ability and the power. All comes from God. All those demonic powers and witchcraft that those fallen angels have possessed, and it's tricking you with their magic tricks. Even that magic and the so-called power all came from God. God gave them, and they have to answer to God. Satan is roaming to and fro on this earth. And where does he go? He goes to God. And God says, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm just roaming to and fro. He goes, well, have you considered my servant Job? I don't know why I said that. Job. Job. You got to pay attention, people. Everybody has to answer to God. For nothing is done unless God gives it the ability and the permission to do. Before they arrested Jesus, thousands of people came to arrest one man who didn't have no weapon and no sword. And when he said, I am he, they all fell back. They all fell to their knees, because even God was letting everybody know, the only reason why you have the ability to do so is because I give you the power and the ability to do so. And Jesus told them before that day come, no, it is not you that have the power, but it's my Father who gives you the ability to do so. Nobody can do nothing unless God allows it. That includes when he gives you the choice. And he allows you to have freedom. He allows you to live the life that you choose to live, but there is caution for what happens to what you do. Suffering, pain, evilness exists because of the choices that certain people choose to make. And God allows it because he allows you to live. God allows it because he allows you to have freedom every day. You're not a puppet on a string. He doesn't mind control you. He allows you to make these choices. He allows you to live the life that you choose to live. But you will have to answer for those choices. Not only are you going to have to pay for the choices that you make in this lifetime while you're living on earth, but when God comes back, you're going to stand before him on Judgment Day. You will answer for everything that you have done. Everyone will. Satan, the demons, you. Everyone answers to God. For God holds all the power. He is power. He is the only power.